quite a number of people from North America. Awesome. Oh, you can see me. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Katrina. Canada. Might talk a little bit about Vancouver. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. That's awesome. Virginia, Seattle, Florida, New York City, Albuquerque. Awesome. Massachusetts. My favorite band is from Boston, Chile. Cool. Calgary. Did the Calgary once. That's awesome. Um, oh, Caspian. I do have the poster in my tiny house, somewhere in the backdrop when if you guys see the video. Um, I think they'll be touring Asia this December, so hopefully, let's see if I get a chance to see them live. Saw them live in Seattle, twice, and once in Vancouver. Okay, cool. Well, I guess I might make a start because I can tend to ramble a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll just put in a little link because I don't suppose everyone has seen the video that I've been featured on, or the house has been featured on. So if you haven't yet, I'll just post the link of the YouTube um, 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 link, and also Instagram to see, if you're interested, see any of my shenanigans that I'm getting up to, like building a pond and cooking various food. So, okay, here we go. Oh, um, uh, trend rep. Yeah, that's me on Instagram. Okay, let me share my screen and let's get on to it. Oh, okay, good. Um, whoop. All right. I hope this is working. Um, hello everyone. That's a greeting from New Zealand. It's like aloha in Hawaiian. Um, Hawaiian, I think it's very similar to Maori language. Anyway, yes. So welcome everyone to this presentation. Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen the video, this is probably the reason why I got invited to make a presentation about my experience here today. A little bit about me. I've been doing a lot of different things, from designing work to mental health work. These days, I'm training to be a narrative counselor. So that's quite exciting. I just finished my assignment yesterday, so I'm quite stoked to be doing this on the fly today. Um, yeah, so when I got invited to be part of this video, I do remember that there was a little bit of interpretation on my part because uh, I probably don't really like a lot of attention. So um, what happens is I got a call and got an invitation, and I almost had a heart attack because I was thinking, what am I gonna say? How am I gonna represent myself in this interview? What if I muck it up or whatever? Anyway, the fear is real. I do experience a bit of anxiety, but at the end of it, I decided that, hey, why not? Just go for it. It's the same thing with this conference. Um, hey, uh, it'll be quite cool to just embrace it. And so I think in many ways, um, this has been my journey into tiny house living. Um, there's a lot of uncertainties along the way, and I thought, if I really believe in the dream of living tiny, living more sustainability, living more closer to nature, living my values, sometimes a bit of risk must be taken. So this is talking a little bit about my journey here. Okay, how do I? Right. Okay. So a brief orientation. This is how it looks like. On the left, the house on the left, on the house on the right. Once again, if you want to hear more descriptions, it's on the video. Inside, big volume space. Kind of cool. I'm actually in the house right now, so I'm like seeing this in the screen, and it looks nice on the pictures actually. No, I'm just kidding. So two different views of the kitchen, big kitchen, and at the back, just behind this wall, is the actual tiny house area. It's got a bathroom and a vanity and like a walk-in wardrobe kind of idea at the back. And on the loft, this is my bedroom, me and my partner, and we have a bit of a movie room there. In fact, we have got movie rooms everywhere, including our lounge, and the best movie is actually out the window. That's the scenery, the best movie, best animal to tune into. Okay, a few more pictures. The movie on the top left. I've got some lighting, which is a bit of a feature of the house. A few different options and some of the things I like to do, including playing music. Okay, where am I? Yeah, so just to get a sense, I guess I can't really get a interactive sort of view of the audience here. So I thought I would just present these three questions. How many of you are here because you're interested in tiny living? I presume that you might be. How many of you want to know what's possible outside of the norm? I presume so. That's why you're here in this presentation. And there's one more question. How many of you are here because you have concerns about how to get there? So here I try to illustrate my own journey as a way to say, yeah, realistically, there's going to be quite a bit of anxieties. So how did I get through that? Actually, it was a good exercise doing this because I never quite thought about it in that way until putting together this little presentation. Okay, my tiny adventure. I would split this into three parts. Hopefully, I'll be nice and concise. Searching for home, how I started this whole journey, and then planning for surprises, which is a personal favorite. Okay, searching for home. Okay, I had a long-winded story, but I think I'm just gonna cut it down a little bit. Essentially, I grew up in Singapore. It was a very, very tough place to grow up. It probably still is. But that's where my mental health journey started. It was a very high-pressured way of adapting to a society which required people to conform to the norm. I'm a bit of a troublemaker, so I didn't necessarily fit well with that. So my parents sent me to Christchurch in New Zealand, and at the time I was sent to boarding school. And if anyone would know about Christchurch, it's a very challenging place for anyone who might identify of a different race outside of being European. So I had my own struggles in that. And at that time, I was like a bit displaced from home. So I had a bit of a disconnection from home, which was a bit difficult. And in the 90s, you didn't really get a mobile phone you know, we had to do trunk calls to get like phone card sort of thing and make an appointment. Okay, and do fax, fax communication. Okay, I'm a lot older than I look. Anyway, yes, and then I came to Christchurch, and then I grew up there, and then in boarding school, and then my parents moved over. At the time, I was not fitting in anywhere, and I remember just finding like my own space, my own little tiny room, playing my music and listening to Metallica and Megadeth, and being quite inspired by the heavy kind of lyrics. It's quite funny because these days they have quite much more wholesome image. So it's really quite interesting to see how even my childhood idols have developed. Anyway, that was my home, a little tiny space. And then as a Singaporean, I had to move back to Singapore to do my national service, and I was once again displaced from my friends, from my family, and that was quite difficult. Eventually, I came back to New Zealand. I was hit by the global financial crisis, and at the time, I was a landscape architect and urban designer, and that didn't really work out long term. So I had to find other ways to develop. I couldn't even find my own identity in my work, but it turned out to be a bit of a blessing. I went through a bit of a rough patch in my marriage. And at the time, that was what I really held on to in terms of what defined home for me. But that came to an end after the global financial crisis. And then I decided that actually I was sitting in meditation course. And what happened was I just decided, I think it's time to make a change of environment. So I booked my ticket to Vancouver one way and decided to say goodbye to my existing friends and leave for a new life. At the time, it was really quite significant because I was selling off all my things. I burnt my old documents and photos and pretty much my own little Burning Man. I wish it's a whole other story. But I felt like the ball and chain really lifted. So there's something about downsizing that was actually not so scary. It was not really like letting go as such, or the grief of letting go. It was more like letting in opportunities for freedom. And so I saw that as a really, really good thing. What I experienced it was a really, really good thing. I like to think about the idea of the albatross. The albatross is quite widespread in New Zealand, and it flies around and hardly touches the sea and circumnavigates the globe and has nothing but just pouch of extra stomach to keep fish and bring back to the chicks, and that's all it does. It's just for free. So kind of aspired my life to be around that. Hey, that's me leaving. Say, see you later. My hair is growing. Starting point. Oops. Okay. Back a notch. No spoiler alert. I was doing my landscape architecture degree and I studied container house living, shipping containers actually. And then I was quite inspired by the idea that we could design a space to fit a very compact way of living, which really suited sustainability and all. So there's a value that I sort of developed from that sort of inspired me. Like, yeah, I really, really vibe with this value, and I think, yeah, the way that humanity is living these days can be worked on. So I thought, I can do what I can. I can't be perfect, by no means be perfect, but how can I just make a little step? So I thought, maybe this container house living thing could one day work. And that was like 25 years ago. Oh, 2001. 2001. Not 25. Do my math. About 20. Anyway, I subsequently in my career in placemaking, I was interested in this idea of developing a home area, some place that I could really feel like you know, I felt like I could be grounded, have a foundation to set up a life, to do my work. The concept of home was a very big part of my um, uh, what I was drawn to in terms of my own identity here in New Zealand, um, as a migrant, especially. And then I did a lot of this design work, and I did my own little stint in this industry until the global financial crisis, which you mentioned about. And then I decided that, okay, well, uh, maybe it's time for a change. So I changed my career, I changed everything, and I decided to, well, at one point, look into tiny house living in Vancouver because I was interested in being, being part of a community around that. I was interested in moving to Vancouver as well in North America. Something about North America, especially the Pacific Northwest, kind of drew me, right? So eventually I did come back to New Zealand, and I decided that I'll play a prank, April Fool's prank on Facebook. So it's kind of going like that. Been thinking for a while. Well, I just made it happen. Blah 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 blah. The thing about jokes is it has to have some truth in that. So I just posted this because it was fun, and me and my friends had this thing about doing pranks on Facebook. So and then, but I had no idea the impact that it was going to have because I had like a lot of people commenting. I had a lot of messages of support, and I was like, oh, I think the joke is on me now because maybe I actually have to do this. But anyway, about a couple of years later, I stumbled on this video, by Bryce, and I noticed that she was actually working in a factory space that's a couple of blocks away from my workplace. So I got in contact and I went, hey, are you taking clients? And she said, oh yeah, well, yeah, Shay, awesome person. She said, okay, well, yeah, the queue is going to be about a year long because there's a lot of demand for it, and so I said, okay, well, can I do something like customized design because I can apply some of my design knowledge into this. And I really love the idea of what she came up with as a base for me to improve the design. So sometimes creative ideas don't need to come up from nowhere, yeah, you can some borrow it from places, not plagiarism. I don't want to think about it, but all creativity is borrowed. Yeah. Okay. So that was really awesome. It was a really beautiful little episode. I do recommend that if you have not seen it. And then I embarked on a year's worth of design. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about the design, so I can share with you some of the principles behind this particular project. There is a huge volume space in the main part of the house where we spend most of our time, and that tiny house section is right back. So this is the floor level, you can sort of see. Okay, I'm just going to rush through because I want to have some question and answers. Okay. High use of the space, more spacious, relationship within the spaces. Yeah, the flow is important. The openness, natural lighting, ventilation, symmetry. I pay a lot of attention to the access lines, the lines that run, create a bit of symmetry. Central feature wall and flow of movement. Whites, blacks, wood and steel, multifunctional. Blah 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 blah. I think most importantly, the home space that mirrors the people that live there. You tell your stories, your personal stories through the space that you dwell, and that can help to create a bit of grounding. So exercise your ability to create your own, really. This is a design that really suits me. This is not very safe, but you know what? It's my space. Yeah, I do enjoy it. Using it, I like it. Me, that's true. Planning for surprises. Now, before I left for Vancouver, I was quite inspired by a friend who came back from a road trip, and she went to places like Galapagos, Easter Island, and just crazy places. And I thought I asked her, like, what helped you get through this? Don't you have to plan? And I said, nah, I didn't really plan, but I have an idea about where I want to go. And she said this phrase, plan spontaneity. Spontaneity. And I thought I liked the idea of having some planning and a bit of both. Why not? Why be one or the other when you can be both? So let's just say there were some surprises along with the build. I didn't find land almost immediately, but that was just a process. It was in the middle of COVID when I was doing this. So I put in storage for a little while and I did some renovation within that. I also buggered up my floor. I messed up my floor, the Kiwi term, by sanding it. And I realized that actually that opened up an opportunity for placing a carpet. And the carpet worked much, much better. So things can change. You can adapt. We can adapt as long as we don't feel so locked in to a particular plan. Things change all the time. But there are a few surprises that you want to think about. Ideal land is not always available. Accessibility for delivery can be an issue, especially if the place is too muddy. We have had a lot of rain in New Zealand, so yeah, something to think about. Unexpected on-site costs like hooking up to the main house for electricity and water. Costly mistakes like destroying my floor. But the main point is to be flexible, adaptable. And then goats. I've got lots of goats and they like to escape and eat veggies. But I love them. Plan the vision, but let details show up. I think that's the little takeaway I would like to give. I was single when I built the house, and now I've got a beautiful partner. So in conclusion, it's good to have a plan. It's good to have a vision, but the details they're so wiggly. It's and that's part of the journey. Eh? The journey is unpredictable. It's where the adventure is. That there's no fun in when everything's predicted. Sometimes things need to go wrong, and then you learn from these things. And as long as there is a bit of an allowance for that, but we can adapt to it. What more can I say? It is fun. It is an adventure. Yes, it's scary. Unpredictability can be a friend, because at the end of it, who knows? It can be such a rewarding process after all. Okay. So a few questions. What kind of home can you, I can't even read this because my screen is blocking. Create with the current resource. Some people can live tiny, but maybe a small room can be a space that you can regard as sacred for yourself. What stands in the way of your freedom meet your dreams? What fuels this fear? What abilities can you draw upon to create life you prefer to live? I have design skills. I don't build. I don't have woodworking skills, so I am quite realistic with what I can do and what I can't. So I want to invite you to think about what skills do you have that you could bring to your project. This the Maori phrase aha koa he iti he ponamu. It may be small, but it is precious. Thank you very much. Awesome. How are we gonna do 3 minutes of questions? Not everyone at once. You, come on, don't do item. What's the one don't do item you recommend? Um, don't do. Uh, don't overplan. Don't overplan. I am not designing for anyone else. No, at the moment, not really. But if you get in touch with me, I can do what I can to assist you with the design, including those 3D images. Um, yeah, don't give up. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it can be hard. It can be a real hard journey sometimes. When I got this place to this land and without anything set up, including my sewage toilet, I remember just sitting out in the bucket in the middle of the night, having this starry view while doing my business. I was just like, oh my god, what am I doing? But you know what? At least now I can say I had that experience. That was great. Contact info is Fabian Low at gmail.com. My Instagram might have that. It might be on the channel or my website, www.fabianlow, one word, .com. I talk a little bit more about my work that I'm doing around my therapy work, but I haven't really updated it with tiny house stuff. The wall material is a wallpaper. Yeah, it's an awesome wallpaper company called The Insider, the Inside New Zealand. Yeah, that's right, fabianlow.com. Thank you. What's under the wallpaper? This is the texture. You see in the video actually. It's more close up. But this is a scroll. It's a beautiful eagle painting. Material ply, construction ply. Yeah, like the rest of the wall. My email is fabianlow@gmail.com. I'm a therapist. Actually, well, I think when we design spaces, we are actually helping people enjoy the experience, you know, because the environment is a very big part of how people can relate to their sense of well-being. And carpenter ends? No, I don't. We're lucky in New Zealand not to have that. And thank you all very much for your comments and participation. And I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you, Zach and Jason, for this opportunity too. And thank you.